But the way canoes were made 150 years ago, because Canada is 150 years old, I still make them exactly the same way. I've been doing this job, I think it's 23 years now. No, it's 24. I used to install computer systems at horse race tracks, and it turns out I was not very good at that. And it was my father who suggested, just out of the blue, he said, "Roger, why don't you become a canoe builder?" I'm a canoe builder? How do you do that? When the white man settled North America and they saw the native Indians had something that looked like this, they probably said, that's the best kind of way of getting around, how to explore this country. To get their Canadian passport, they have to first make a wooden canoe, because that truly is being a Canadian. You need what's called a mold, something around which the canoe is made. And you start off with raw lumber. This would be an example of the lumber. A piece about this size. This is fairly small. This particular piece is not that good because of this. There's a knot, and there's another one right there. That's no good. And from that, I cut up all these little tiny pieces. They have a tiny little bead on the top and a tiny little cove on the bottom, and they can be glued together, but at different angles. So you take a big piece of wood, make it into small pieces that can bend and flex easily, and glue that back together again in the shape of a canoe. You see it there. That's the fiberglass that's going to go on the canoe. But it will be invisible. When we put it on, you can't see it. It's like magic. That's what I pulled out. And there are about 1,500 that go into the canoe, and 1,500 come out. And some of them break. Oh. Then we have to make the seats and all the various other components that go in the canoe, and they're made typically from a wood called black cherry. So the lumber that we have here left is going to finish that canoe. And so these are my Viking ships going out to conquer the world. One of the reasons I like building canoes and working on them is the shape. So they're nice curves, nothing straight in a canoe. I tell my wife, well, she'd probably kill me if she heard me say this, but one of the reasons I married her is because she's quite curvy. And, the first time you launch your canoe, you've made a canoe, and then you put it in the water for the first time. That is a wonderful experience. It's a little bit like flying. Canoes have evolved quite a bit over the years, from birch bark and maybe a dugout canoe. Later on, they were made out of more modern materials, fiberglass and Kevlar and aluminum. But a nice wooden canoe is a dream to paddle, just like I'm doing right now. It's the way Canada was really opened up. I've been lucky. I'm still here, I'm still doing it, and probably still will for another 20 years. Just to hear the swish of the paddle. Can you hear that? There's a lot of water and a lot of little rivers. They all need to be explored. And it's a wonderful feeling to just paddle down a small river in a canoe that you've made with a paddle that you've carved yourself. It's wonderful.